It's 2025. The market is down today. Bitcoin's below $100,000 again, and I believe Cardano is below $1 again today. Here are all of the reasons that I am watching in 2025 why you should not be sleeping on Cardano, and basically all the major news or all the major things that are being talked about here in 2025 for Cardano. Now, are they all going to come true? We'll talk about it as we go through each single one. And Cardano is not the only chain doing a lot of these amazing things. So we're going to talk about all that in this video, but what are the big things going on in Cardano in 2025? And if you're invested in the chain or thinking about investing in the chain or trying to learn more about Cardano, what do you need to know to make 2025 a successful year for investing and understand where Cardano is headed? Because that's kind of what we're investing in the crypto space. At the end of this video, we're going to talk about the Cardano fundamentals. It is crushing the fundamentals of crypto. But outside of just the fundamentals that Cardano brings to the table, what are the extras? Like, what are the other things that it brings to crypto, and what are the things it has going on this year? So the first thing is going to be the governance. We have talked about governance before on this channel. If you're in Cardano and know about Cardano, you've learned about governance a little bit, but governance is like the biggest thing that Cardano did in 2024, and 2025 is like the real first year that it's being tested. This is the governance page for Cardano. It's cardano.org.governance or like gov tools, something like that. But basically you can come onto this page, just search Cardano governance, and you can do two things. First, you can become a D-rep, which is basically like becoming a politician for Cardano, right? People can delegate their voting power to you, and you use that voting power and make decisions based on how you vote. I'm not going to be a D-rep. I don't want to be a D-rep right now. The next thing you can do if you don't want to be a delegated representative is delegate your voting power in your wallet with your ADA to someone else. So this is what I do. I've found a D-rep. My D-rep is Cardano Yoda on Twitter. You can go find them and delegate to them if you'd like. But find a D-rep so that you can participate in Cardano governance. And basically what that looks like is in here, you have all the D-reps in here. After you check out a D-rep, you can then go around and kind of look at what's going on chain. You can come here. The biggest thing is coming here to the dashboard, and you can see actually what is going on. So you obviously want to connect your wallet, and then you can delegate. It's just going to show you everything that you can do. You can delegate your voting power to a D-rep. You can become a D-rep. You can become a direct voter, right? You can just vote yourself as like a normal person voting in the United States election, but on Cardano, right? You can just vote as a person. You can see what kind of governance actions are being held right now. So currently it's like the Plum and hard fork is one of them. And then you can propose any governance actions that you want. So you can use like the Cardano treasury. You can propose anything you want here, and everyone's going to vote yes or no or abstain or like a vote of no confidence on your proposal. So the current governance actions we talked about here is the Plum and hard fork. This is the second version of the Chang hard fork, which is its governance protocol. It also has a bunch of other things in here, I think, talking about scalability and speed. But this is the current vote that's happening. So the first big thing Cardano has for 2025 and some of the biggest news in Cardano is that governance is live. It's happening, and the Constitution is there, and the Constitutional Committee and the D-reps and the people are voting with their ADA. So if you have ADA, if you're an ADA holder, you need to go into your wallet and pick a direction. Are you going to be a single voter? Are you going to delegate to a D-rep? Do you want to become a D-rep? What path do you want to choose? And you got to put that ADA to work. It costs no money to you to be an ADA voter, and it does help decentralize the ecosystem because we're having everyone vote. It's like the United States election, or I don't know, other countries' elections. But when everyone votes, it makes the outcome more fair, and that's what Cardano is all about. So the first thing Cardano is going for in 2025 is governance. Now, the second biggest thing, which people have hated on Cardano for a very long time, is scalability. 2025 is the groundbreaking year of scalability for Cardano, and Cardano has actually done a lot of scalable things in 2024 and 2023 by increasing transaction pipelining, increasing the possibility to upgrade the chain and how smart contracts work together, Plutus scripts and other things to make Cardano faster. But in 2025, we are actually focused on scalability. And a couple ways that we're doing that is with Mithril, which is Cardano's L2 solution that is built in-house. We have Hydra, which is doing a million transactions per second, which is like a closed source state channel, which is like a closed sourced layer 2 solution. And then there's also the whole thing about side chains and midnight and partner chains that are going to bring more transactions. cross-chain to Cardano to be validated on Cardano's base layer. So the second big thing Cardano is tackling is scalability, and that's a big thing people have been worried about for a long time. But Cardano is currently doing very well, and 2025 it will be introducing things like input endorsers, Ouroboros Leus, Ouroboros Paris, and other things to kind of become like this block DAG structure where it is building blocks and validating blocks all at the same time, and so that all of the nodes on Cardano are working around the clock and doing things to help the blockchain without sitting idle. In this article, you can see actually all of the layer 2 or scaling type things that Cardano is doing this year, and it is focusing on side chains, right? We have Hydra, which is that, closed system state channel layer 2 type thing. We have Mithril, which is like the open sourced layer 2, kind of like an Ethereum layer 2, but directly built on Cardano, natively built by Cardano instead of having like other blockchains become an L2. So that's really interesting. And then you can even see here that, Hydra is in effect and is processing 14 billion transactions over 3 days and is handling massive amounts of transactions volumes that people really don't expect to see. And so this is one example of how gaming can become available on Cardano, or Cardano can start scaling in sort of these closed loop layer 2 systems. And so you can imagine this solution being applied to a decentralized exchange, something that needs to process a lot of transactions, or something like Snack Fund or something like a casino, where you kind of know what's happening on a daily basis and kind of know the expectations. But then Mithril will just scale this further with kind of that open system layer 2. So scaling is the next big thing Cardano has working on in 2025. The third big thing Cardano has in 2025 is Bitcoin liquidity, right? We've heard of the Bitcoin OS and Bitcoin liquidity coming to Cardano. It's going to raise TVL to the roof, right? And everyone's going to be happy and excited. But what's really interesting, we have these two tweets here. Everyone's kind of heard about the Bitcoin OS, but if you haven't heard about it, Bitcoin OS is kind of like a supercomputer brain for the Bitcoin blockchain. And we know that over the past couple years, people have been trying to build these L2 scaling solutions on Bitcoin and for Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is, one, not super programmable compared to things like Ethereum, Cardano, Solana. It's not super programmable, and it's not super fast. It's just not how it was designed. It has blocks like every 7 minutes and stuff. So it's not like a hyper fast blockchain. It's more of a hard sound money blockchain. And eventually, the reasoning is that people are going to make so much money in Bitcoin, and there's going to be so much money in Bitcoin. There's already trillions of dollars in Bitcoin, that people are not going to want to sell that hard money, right? They're going to want to buy a house. They're going to want to open a business, and they're going to have 100 million in Bitcoin that they've made over the last 5 years. And they're not going to want to just sell the Bitcoin because of how good of an asset it is. When that time comes, Bitcoin itself is not really the best place for on-chain DeFi. And so the theory is that you can take things like Cardano and other blockchains, Ethereum, Solana, and you can use Bitcoin OS, this ZK scaling brain of Bitcoin, connect it to these blockchains and natively use your Bitcoin in the DeFi ecosystems on these exchanges to get loans, to trade assets, to do whatever you want to do, like real world assets in houses, open wallets, and kind of use your Bitcoin on other chains. This is how Bitcoin kind of becomes an ultra hard money and reaches all over the crypto ecosystem and all over the world, when it can be inside of all of these other third generation blockchains. Basically, we already see this happening with ICP using CK Bitcoin. Cardano's doing this. I believe Cardano's using Bitcoin OS, and then Solana has their own solution, I believe. But Charles sums it up right here. Imagine being able to sign a Bitcoin transaction while using ADA as the gas fee. And so the Bitcoin users who are using Cardano won't really even know that they won't really ever have to have an ADA in their wallet in order to use Bitcoin on Cardano. They're going to take Bitcoin. Here's an example. You're a Bitcoin whale, right? You got 100 million in Bitcoin on the Bitcoin network. You want to go use some DeFi on Cardano, and there's a wallet system or a bridge system, kind of whatever this Bitcoin OS turns out to be, its ZK scaling solution. You take your Bitcoin, you use it on Cardano, you never hold any ADA, you do whatever you want over there, and then the whole transaction is closed out. That information gets put back down to the Bitcoin network, and you pay the fee on Cardano, the little ADA fee, in Bitcoin. Now, this is possible because Cardano will also be getting Babel fees in 2025. Like other blockchains, Ergo already has Babel fees. And essentially what a Babel fee is you can pay the gas fee or pay the transaction fee in a different currency on your blockchain. So one way to explain that is if you are on Cardano, let's say you have LenFi and you have ADA and you have Hunt. Typically, when you do a transaction like a swap on a DEX, you would pay the fee in ADA. But with Babel fees, you can pay it in LenFi, you can pay it in ADA, or you can pay it in Hunt. You can pick, or you can do a mix. And so with Bitcoin OS and with Babel fees on Cardano, Bitcoin whales can take their Bitcoin, do transactions on Cardano, pay the fee in Bitcoin, and the Babel fee on Cardano will turn that Bitcoin into an ADA fee and pay it in ADA for them. So Bitcoin people will be able to use Cardano DeFi without ever touching ADA, without really ever knowing anything about Cardano, and without really having any of this. It will be a very seamless experience for them. Now, Bitcoin is a big deal. That is a big deal in my opinion. And I would like to do further videos on Bitcoin OS to really dive into it a little bit more. But after that, we know that Charles has been on a little bit of a mission in late 2024. Like, he went on his wolf retreat. He did his whatever out in the forest. He came back, and he came back hardcore. And from that, Charles and Cardano have a couple partnerships. We have 4 here that I want to talk about, but there's even some I might have forgotten. But the first big thing is that where is it? Yes. Charles Hoskinson will be working with lawmakers and IOG, right? It's not just Charles, but it's the whole Input Output Global is going to be working with lawmakers in the United States to help build crypto policy and other types of policies and bills with the Trump administration for crypto, for legislation, for like all this stuff that we have coming, because, people just don't know a lot about it. And Charles is not the only person out there doing these things. I think the XRP founder, the CEO, is doing it. People in Solana are doing it. Algorand is doing it. And so the leaders of these massive 3rd generation blockchains are working with Trump administration and all other types of policymakers in the government, especially in the United States government, to formalize a better way to have crypto policy or have different bills that are regulating the space or helping the space or helping the government use the space or anything like that. And all this is going to become more important as maybe we have things like a Bitcoin strategic reserve or a Cardano ETF or all these other things that have kind of been hyped out around there. But the big thing is, and it's really important, in my opinion, that Charles and the Cardano foundations and IOG and all of these other blockchains, Ripple and Algorand and Solana, are working with the United States government. This is the first year that this has really happened. And so I think that will have, or it has a good precedent for what's to come in the future. Now, the next thing after Charles and other people working with the United States government is that we have the Cardano Foundation working with NASA, which I thought was a pretty interesting partnership. They're teaching them about Cardano, they're teaching about supply chain management and how crypto can be used in that way. And so this kind of makes me wonder, why did NASA choose Cardano, or how did this come about? Did they see that Cardano is a little bit more academic and that kind of struck them? So we have that thing going for it. We also have Charles doing things with SpaceX. And I know that there's been some rumors that Charles and Elon know each other, have been working together, or Charles is working with the Trump administration, who obviously Trump and Elon are kind of close together. But this whole thing about Charles signing an NDA with SpaceX, maybe he was just visiting and they wouldn't let him tell him about the rockets. Maybe that's all that the NDA is. But this is just another thing that is really interesting to me. And I like to see Charles getting out there and getting after it like this. I like to see him doing partnerships with weird people and people innovating like SpaceX and like NASA and like, the Trump administration, right? He's in these different offices doing different things, and I like to see that. And I think that I think it bodes well for Cardano. And Cardano's, again, not the only chain doing this. I think it bodes well for all of crypto and all of the groups who are doing this. So I guess I want to wrap this video up by saying Cardano has a lot of things going for it in 2025 that were really kind of introduced in late 2024 and have been in the pipeline for a while. Now, we talked about a lot of things in this video. Do I think all of them are going to happen in 2025? I think that they will all be worked on, and they are all being worked on. Yes, the answer is yes to that question. It's not really kind of like at the end of 2025, these things are solved. That's not really how this works. And I think people get a little confused by that sometimes. Sometimes I think people see things happening in a year and they're like, okay, at the end of the year, this is done. And then we see the price go up. That's not really how all this works. What I think, in my opinion, is going to happen from all of this is kind of what I think happens since Cardano got smart contracts in 2021, right? In 2017 and 2018 and 2019 and 2020 and all the way up to 2021, Cardano was like hyping up this idea of getting smart contracts and building and doing all the things necessary with the research and the papers and the kind of the process and understanding where Cardano is going to be in 10 years time. If you ever watched Charles Hoskinson's whiteboard video, that's a 10-year video, right? It's like, it's not, he talks about a lot. None of that really happened in the first, couple years. It took the first couple years to get to where we are today, to where that whiteboard video is coming true, right? And so, in my opinion, all of these things are happening this year, right? Charles has talked about that. He wants scaling and Bitcoin OS and things to be live this year and to be working this year so people can see it and experience it and use it, right? And build Cardano. Because Cardano has spent the last, 5+ years doing the things in the background that people don't really reflect in the price or in the day-to-day in the short term. And so I see a lot of these things as like they are long-term things that build up Cardano to be, this massive blockchain that does things the right way. And if you want to see like a 10 or a 20 or a $30 Cardano in 5 years or in 7 years or something like that, these are the things that need to happen today so that when we get there, Cardano is ready and willing to be at that price point. I think a lot of people are going to see these or watch this video or see these things like they saw them in late 2024, and they think that this is how Cardano gets to $3 today. Yes, I think Cardano will get to $3, $5, $7 in 2025 because of these things, but in the long term, like we're still going to have a bear market in 2026 and 2027. And so I think these things are really important when doing research and finding a blockchain to invest in. But a lot of other chains have a lot of other things like this going on. They do it in a little bit of a different way, but other chains are working with policymakers. Other chains are scaling. Other chains have Bitcoin liquidity. And so in my opinion, these are great things for Cardano. If you're interested in Cardano, you need to know about them. But when you stack these on top of the fundamentals that Cardano brings to the table, like liquid staking, cap supply, the way that the nodes are structured, the way that stake pool operators are structured, the way that staking is structured, the way that the scaling is happening within the chain, like Cardano owned layer 2 solutions, the way that the UTXO model works, the way that just everything on Cardano works is a little bit different than all the other blockchains out there. And so when you stack all the things we talked about in this video on top of the fundamentals that make Cardano really interesting and one of the most decentralized blockchains out there today, I think this all becomes a lot more interesting and a lot more exciting. I know today is a down day in crypto price. Bitcoin's back under 100,000. I think Cardano's back under $1, maybe like 99 cents as I'm recording this video. But 2025, in my opinion, has a lot of great things going for it, and you don't get to the $30 price point people are looking for in 8 to 10 years from now unless these things happen in 2025. So that's my video. That's what's going on in 2025 for Cardano, and I'm sure in 2025 we're going to get so much more news, so many more things happening that people are just going to be absolutely blown away by. If you told me last year, or if you told me in 2023 that Charles Hoskinson would work with the Trump administration, or that Bitcoin liquidity is going to come to Cardano, I would not have believed you. And so every year this whole space, the whole crypto space, just keeps getting better. That's what's going on in 2025 in Cardano. If you haven't smashed the like and the subscribe now, I would really appreciate it if you did. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will definitely see you in the next one for more Cardano content.